Hello everybody, welcome back. I've got yet another Final Fantasy Tactics job breakdown. This time we are taking a look at the White Mage. So let's head on into the abilities. White Mage is probably I would say probably the best healer in the game. Chemist is okay, but I think White Mage does edge it out by a bit. Your basic cure spell here has a range of 4 and then a radius of 2. So this is like a cross pattern. And then also the vertical one is nice. I mentioned, when I did my monk breakdown about the vertical, and unfortunately for the monk, that really restricts the usefulness of its chakra ability, which is amazing, by the way, but the vertical aspect to the White Mage makes it a lot more usable. So here the MP is 6, speed is 25. That means it's a pretty quick casting and pretty cheap spell. Now, Cura, on the other hand, a little bit slower, a little bit more expensive, but also obviously does restore more HP. Curaga here again, I think that's even a bit slower, right? Yeah, a little bit slower. It looks like they're going down by, they go down by 5 speed every time, so they just gradually get a little bit slower as they get stronger. The radius here is bumped up to 2, I see, for Curaga. Yeah, it's still only 1 for Cura, but so this stuff gets a bit easier to use as well, just because of that. And then this one has a vertical of 3, so very, very, very usable, pretty easy to hit your targets, even some of the stuff that's higher up, as far as, height, I guess. Unfortunately, though, Kiraja there is quite slow. Raise here is, removes KO, so this is kind of like, Phoenix Down. I don't believe this is always effective, though. And a lot, so like the cure line, basically these are all based off of the casters. Basically, the power of it is based on the caster's faith as well as the target's faith, plus your M attack, and then Zodiac compatibility factors into it as well. So generally speaking, in this game, the higher your faith stat, the more you will be healed by, but also the more you will take, as far as damage, like from Black Mage type abilities. So that's generally the case here. Here, I believe this is a better version of Raise. Arise basically restores all of your HP, whereas if you only use Raise, it'll just pick you up with very little health. So the speed is quite a bit different, though, if you notice here. So like Raise is essentially the same speed as a cure spell, and Arise is the same speed as Curaja. So really, really big difference there. And when it comes down to it, if if your character's about to time out, right, and they're about to crystallize, you'll probably want to try for the Raise instead. So that's kind of one of those deals that you got to work out as need be. Re-raise here is a pretty interesting skill here. White magic that endows a unit with a protective force that will revive him or her only once after being KO'd. So you cast this prior to being knocked out, and it will re-raise you. Now, unfortunately, though, with this is a buff type spell, and all of the White Mage buffs will time out if or over a certain amount of time. So that makes them I don't know, that aspect of it is a little bit lame. Although I don't know, maybe making these buffs last forever would have also been lame. I'm not sure, but that is the only issue I have with some of this stuff. I mean, Regen is the same way. This is a great ability, right? So it restores HP during basically any time you end your turn while you've got this status on you. It's a really good way to keep yourself healthy. So Protect here is the basic like defense buff in this game. You know, this one is pretty cheap and pretty fast. But if you notice here, the radius of 2, vertical 0, so it's basically a cross pattern, but it doesn't have any height component, which, you know, can make it a little bit, I don't know, tougher to cast on multiple people, which is where Protectia comes in. Same range, radius 2, same obviously, and then vertical of 3. So it makes it a little bit easier to land. You know, because of that vertical component to it. A little bit more MP, and then a little bit slower, unfortunately. And then the Shell and Shell Ja work the same way. So Shell, instead of you know, increasing your physical defense, actually increases the your magic defense, right? So you'll take less damage from spells by using this. Same, you know, range of 3, radius of 2. So again, cross pattern. Unfortunately, though, the vertical 0 means it suffers from the same issue there as the basic Protect spell, which means, you know, you're gonna have problems with your height if you want to cast on multiple people, right? But 6 MP and then same speed, and then Shell Ja here, again, basically the same thing as Protect Ja, in that it adds that vertical component as well. So a little bit easier to land on characters that might not be standing at the same height. So, you know, your call on if you want to use those versions of those spells instead. Here is a wall, white magic that conjures up an invisible barrier to protect the body from physical and magical blows. So this is both Protect and Shell combined. Now, if you notice here, it's really fast. So I'm taking that to mean that this doesn't always land. So you know, you get both, but it doesn't always land. Isuna here is a great ability. Removes all kinds of these different status effects. Really kind of one of the static spells, or like yeah, I guess it's been a spell that's, you know, been in all of the well, not maybe not all of the Final Fantasy games, but a staple is what I was trying to say. Jeez, ability in the Final Fantasy universe. But yeah, removes all kinds of different status effects here, so very, very useful spell. And then Holy here is a attack spell, which is, you know, the White Mage only has one attack spell here. Now, the problem is it's pretty slow. It's slightly faster, though, than, like, Shell Ja, right? So there's at least that, but... and then the element is Holy, now, which can be actually strengthened via some different equipment, and hopefully I'll remember to touch on some of that stuff. But here, Regenerate, receive the blessing of HP regeneration. So basically this triggers the regen effect on HP loss. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think this is good. I don't know that I've literally ever used this ability in any of the times that I've played. It seems interesting, I guess, but it's also kind of redundant, right? Like, okay, so you get attacked, and then boom, you've got regen. Well, then the next time you get attacked, as long as regen hasn't fallen off, it just triggers again. I don't know. It just seems like there's so many other... I mean, there is so many other way better reaction abilities, so I would pass on that one. Arcane Defense is amazing. Real talk. And Arcane Defense is one of the abilities that... I don't know if you necessarily... Well, you definitely don't absolutely have to have it at the beginning or at the end of the game there if you're trying to learn the Zodiac spell from the guy at the bottom of the Midlight Steep, but it really helps. And not only that, I mean, honestly, there's a ton of different enemies that will, you know, cast spells throughout the duration of the game, so it's not like it's only usable in that you know, narrow case, but it is a really good ability. Unfortunately, just because I spend so much time with the JP boost skill, right? Because I'm trying to, you know, learn more and more skills that I generally don't get a whole lot of use out of these passive abilities. But you know, it is what it is, and it is good. So And then the white mage has no movement abilities. So, all right. So let's talk equipment here. Generally, these the white mage can only equip stabs. Well, I suppose in bags. I suppose if you want to consider that as well. This Dream Walker. This is. I don't remember actually where this comes from. I believe this might be a melee or a rendezvous item. But it is really good here. If you notice there, it's got the attack of the magic +4 on it, which is really going to bump up the effectiveness of your spells. Let's see, what else have we got here? Nirvana is pretty good as well. Stack that can only be mastered by the Enlightened. Magic +3, again, pretty good to bump up the power of your spells. The element on this one is Holy. I don't know how great that is, but, you know, having that element on the staff itself. But I guess interesting. It should do damage, right, or more damage to enemies that are, you know, undead and stuff like that. So, Staff of the Magi here, nothing fancy. Let's see the Zeus. Zeus is interesting, but like the +2 physical attack, honestly, on a staff and on a white mage, that's nigh pointless. You're just not doing much, you know, physically. So let's actually, I want to show you guys this last staff that I at least find somewhat interesting. If I can find it here, it must be really big. Yeah, here it is, the healing staff. So the healing staff, you actually get one, I believe, from Alma. You know, I can't remember what chapter that is, but this one's interesting because it says a staff imbued with the power of spirits has the power to restore HP to those it hits. So you can smack around your own characters to heal them, or if you're fighting undead enemies, you can hit them with this, and it will actually do damage to them. So kind of interesting in that. Is this that useful? I don't know, sort of. It depends, I suppose, right? If you run out of MP, well, I mean, this thing could still heal you then. Probably not the most efficient way to heal characters, but it's at least an option. So, as far as hats here, again, this is a female unit, so she's got the hairpin option, but it does have the hats, right? So no heavy helmets, but you know, a lot of the you know, the hats. So you know, that's going to be your helmet option. And then here you've got the light armor still, which is kind of interesting. The white mage can actually still use the light armor, which is kind of interesting, right? But it also has the robes. So your choice on, you know, which route you want to go. Generally speaking, the you know, the light armor, you'll probably be able to get just a little bit more health, but the robes will give you a lot more MP. So again, that's going to be personal preference. So that is about it for the white mage. Again, the damage calculation, or healing, I suppose, calculation is your faith, and you know, the enemy's faith as well. It's generally the case that as your faith goes up and your enemy's faith goes up, you will do more damage to them, as well as obviously your magic attack stat and stuff. So that is it for the white mage. You know, I'll be honest, I don't love caster classes in this game, but white mage is, I would argue, the premier healer of the game. So that is all the time I've got for this one. As always, hope the guide was helpful, and hope you join me for more videos. Thanks for watching.